Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ethan and Jenna Show. I'm your host, Ethan Michael, and alongside me is
Jenna Belk.
How's it going, Jenna?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I swear, one of these days we're gonna get so distracted talking in the green room that we're actually gonna forget to go live.
It's a thing. You know what? We're not, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to set an alarm.
It's probably a good idea, set an alarm, because otherwise Jenna and I get distracted so easily, and it can be frustrating for some, but
Yep. At time of event, save for future events. We've got an alarm now. So
by the way, everyone who's watching, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. We are here every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And today we are talking about deconversions and mental health.
yes.
And if you want to share your story with us and how your mental health is, call the number at the bottom of the screen. That's 708-554-7836 or 708-5-listen. Jenna, how was your week?
Very good. I got to go out and paddle a couple times, go on a couple walks, get some fresh air. Actually got to go to the park a couple times. What about you?
Nice. Good. I've actually went for a bunch of walks this week. I met a couple people. Like it's been exciting, like going out and meeting new people. Just that I've like met through doing YouTube videos and stuff. So, sorry if you can hear my nephew. But overall, it's been actually a pretty relaxing week. Haven't done anything. I did have a bonfire yet. I went to a bonfire yesterday with a small group of people and absolutely pigged out on pasta, which was really, really nice.
Pasta at a bonfire? That's a first.
Yes, it was
That's
good.
awesome.
They don't really blend, but I don't care. I love food. So pasta and meatballs any time of day for me.
That's actually funny because I went with a couple of friends to the east side of town, which normally I would go when I drank. I would go there to get just messed up. And instead, I went to get socially distant vegan tacos.
Ooh, how were they?
They were so good. And oh my gosh. So I got my husband's allergic to chicken. And so there was a vegan fried chicken sandwich. I was like, well, he hasn't had one in forever, right? So I got him one of those and he took a bite and he's like, you sure this is vegan? It's good. It tastes just like a chicken sandwich. It was amazing.
Sometimes they get those things right. Like the Impossible Burger, I've actually found myself eating more of those because I do actually feel a little guilty eating meat now these days. And I've always been a meat eater, but as the more I think about it and the more I like think about my cat and how I wouldn't want someone eating that, I'm like, well, if I can't eat a little kitty, how can I like eat anything else? And I actually figure feeling guilty about it. So I've tried to bring in more vegan food into my diet and not just be the guy that's eating meat 2 to 3 times a day, because that's what I was doing. Now, not even every day. Well, maybe once a day. There we go. Yeah, bacon for breakfast. That's my bad right there.
Every day, though, you probably don't do bacon every day.
No, not every day. I'll rotate in sausage.
Well, you know what? Cutting back is the first step, right? Like you can't be expected to just cut out all animal products immediately. That's just not very reasonable to expect that to be maintaining.
Especially when I don't know specifically everything else that I need to introduce into my diet to replace what I'm missing from the
right. You could seriously hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing.
And I don't want to be irresponsible and do that.
Right. So you do, take something out, replace it with something, see how your body adjusts, and then you kind of do it one thing at a time if you can. That's what I would do, at least. Not to say, we're no dietitian specialists.
But I can tell you one of the healthiest snacks I enjoy that is also vegan. I will get just cold avocado, and then I will roast some garlic and put it on top. with a little salt and pepper, and oh my God, that is the ultimate vegan, delicious, amazing snack.
Have you had tahine?
No, what's that?
It's like a chili spiced salt.
No.
I guess it's Mexican.
How do you spell it?
Tajin. And it's like it's a seasoning, like a chili lime.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. That stuff is good.
That on an avocado.
I haven't tried that yet, but now I am definitely going to do that.
But just now that we're talking about this, since we have to talk about this, okay. When I started my desk job, there are apples and oranges and kinds of things at work. And just to spice it up, I would bring a little Ziploc baggie of tahine, and then I would put that on an apple or on a pear or on something, and it would really, really make it cool.
Oh, I bet. That sounds really good.
But yeah,
I'm doing that right after this episode now. I'm going to be getting the tahine, putting it on avocado, and trying it.
You could probably get it on Amazon. I'm such an Amazon person. I'm horrible.
Well, no, I do actually have some. I just didn't I bought it once. I didn't know that was the name of it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that stuff.
Once I Googled it and saw the image, I was like, I have that. That thing is frigging delicious.
Oh, it's amazing. And there's different flavors now too, actually.
Oh, is there? You know, I'm quite fortunate. I grew up with my stepdad. He's a Mexican chef, so I got all good Hispanic food, and it was. Yeah. I got spoiled that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, should we get on to our topic, deconversions and mental health?
Yeah.
So, Jenna, how are you doing since your deconversion? And how has mental health changed?
I am finally a grown-up.
What do you mean you're finally a grown-up?
So ever since, it's so funny. So I can't say that the changes in my life have happened because of becoming an atheist, but becoming an atheist was part of the changes that were happening because of myself beginning to self-educate. And in that process, I began to learn about emotional intelligence. Are you familiar with?
Yeah.
I had never heard of it. I had never heard of it before a year and a half ago. So
really?
Yeah, I'd never heard of the concept at all. I was like, that's a thing? EQ?
Wow, that's surprising, actually.
Really?
Yes. Because that's been like a huge, I don't know, just trying to be an emotionally intelligent individual has been a huge part of my life because I'm not a book smart dude, so I got to be smart at something. So I've tried to focus on, emotional intelligence.
Well, I guess I always thought that there was like head-driven people and heart-driven people. And I always thought of myself as a heart-driven person because I care more. So, screw those smart people. I at least give a shit, right? So,
Jenna, this is why you and I click so well. We have so many of the same outlooks, or at least at some point.
Right. But now I understand that you don't have to pick between the two, and that it's not like you're born with one and you have to figure out what it is and figure out how to use it the right way. It's more like you're born with something, and once you become aware, but once you become self-aware, you can begin educating yourself on what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you can begin to learn how to influence yourself in external ways so that you can kind of manipulate yourself to doing what you want to do. And in a sense that, like, for example, when you start seeing a therapist, I saw a therapist once a month because I knew basically what to do, but throughout the month I'd kind of forget, and I would kind of resort to old Jenna and become less mindful and a little bit more emotionally responsive. And then I'd come back to the therapy appointment because my therapist would bring me back too. She'd be like, okay, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh yeah, because I beat myself up, so I can't do that. And she's like, well, why are you beating yourself up? I'm like,
it's hard not to beat yourself up sometimes.
but why are you? But like, can't you just, I know you can't just stop, but the fact is that she was bringing my attention to it. And after you bring your attention to it enough times in the right situation, you can begin to learn how to control it. But it's not like you can just make it stop. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of patience. And for example, for me, I'd been seeing a therapist for years, and this finally got down to once a month, coming back to do a little refresher. But this was me learning how to manipulate myself externally. I knew that I needed that therapy appointment once a month to remind myself what to do, because I keep forgetting. So over time, you try. It's kind of like changing your diet, right? You remove this and you replace it with that. Like I removed alcohol, replaced it with education, or I removed smoking cigarettes and replaced it with meditation. And so added exercise in there. You just kind of have to tweak, figure out what you need to do. But anyways, now I'm rambling. But my point is that I've learned I've learned that it's not just what God gives me. It's not just what God blesses me with for the day. It's I get to take control, and I may not get to right away, but I get to practice. And now I'm finally getting what I guess a hold of the reins, so to speak. I finally feel like a grown up. I don't know how to
and it's the thing, most people, they always tell you to be a grown up, but they don't ever want to teach you how to be.
Most people don't know how.
Exactly. Like most of us never figured it out. They don't teach it in school. They teach you some classes that in a lot of cases you're not always going to use. But in high school, there should be more, wow, I just totally spaced out. Useful classes that apply to your everyday life.
Oh my gosh. I always thought of meditation as just this woo thing. It's totally not. It is as healthy for me and essential for me with my mental stuff going on. It's as important to me as exercises. Why didn't I learn about that?
And that's something I really have to start, Jenna, because I am someone who struggles to calm his mind. Like my mind is just always like a million miles an hour. And I've got to find a way to slow it down and to be able to, I need to learn to meditate. My brother's been trying to teach me, but I just get so distracted, and it's so hard to focus on meditating because I don't like focusing.
The problem with being taught how to meditate is that everybody does it differently.
Right.
And so you have to just ask other people how they do it and kind of take what sounds good and leave the rest, I guess, so to speak, and kind of make it your own. For example, my doctor told me that he has to imagine himself in his backyard looking up through the trees, and he has to imagine the layers of the trees and the sun rays coming through. And he has to have that kind of a level of complicated in order to bring his full brain to that moment, right? I was like, I don't know how the hell you come up with that. But at the same time, you could look at me, and I've come down with, how can you come up with, I need a body pillow and a weight blanket and some incense and maybe some like a Tibetan sound bowl or some like a air flute, something like that. Like that kind of thing. But it's just comes with practice. It comes with trying things and figuring out what works for you. But I do recommend, my mind was a big ball of mess.
People ask me, how do you stay organized? I'm like, I don't know. There's
it just happens.
Firing off. To give you an example, the most organized I've been has actually been doing this YouTube thing. It just took my focus and brought it to a crazy level. I have several different channels, and I have all these videos, documents organized in the cloud. I've got multiple redundancies set up. After every show, I have a habit where I pull down all the videos, upload them to my backup. Everything is on point for the most part, which makes me really happy. I enjoy doing this. I just wish I could take that level of focus I have for YouTube and apply it to other areas, because this seems to only be one of the only things that really, really captures me. And I love doing it.
How many things have you done before this that really captured you in the same way? How much practice have you had doing something to this level of complexity and efficiency?
The closest to it was when I started my DJ business, because I got that off the ground really quickly. I got DJs working for me. I built, we were doing, a bunch of shows a week. I built it pretty fast, which was awesome. But it was almost still unorganized. Like I put the work in, but there's no organization to it. On this one, I'm putting the work in and there's organization to it. However, there are a few other areas I need to I need to start focusing more on educating myself too. For example, one of the things I'm going to need to slow down doing, which I think I may have mentioned to you, is replying to so many messages, because it becomes a struggle, and I feel guilty when someone messages me if I don't reply to them right away. It's like this thing over my head. So I gotta focus it down into, only replying, a few hours a day, so that I can step away and educate myself and learn as much as possible.
Do you want to know what I do for having so many people message you all the time?
Yeah.
I have, little groups of people for different things. And I'll usually have one person in each group that has my cell phone number. And it's a cell phone that I keep near me, and the cell phone notifications that I keep on. But like Facebook notifications, I probably check that. I don't check that very often because, for example, you and I put so much emotional energy into it, but that kind of thing takes practice too. Bringing it up, talking about it helps. Remind yourself that that's a goal, and that's good. But it takes practice. And so when you catch yourself doing it, it's kind of like meditation. When you catch yourself drifting off and thinking about work and everything that you have to do and everything that you did wrong, you just say, oh, you know what? I just remembered what I'm supposed to be doing, and stop. Don't scold yourself. Just like, oh, okay, well, you spent your entire life drifting off. So let's just come back and try again, That's what I'm learning, is that it's just repetition over and over again.
Just to get to this real quick, it's a talk show about mental health. Last week was our episode on our pets. This week we are talking about deconversions. So if you want to share your deconversion and how your mental health has been, call the number
Absolutely
at the top of the screen. We got a question from Kristen. Oh. Have either of you lost relationships after deconverting? Has anyone used your atheism as a reason to not have a relationship with you? So when I was married, my ex-wife, she's Christian. Well, I guess when we got married, we were both Christian. I became an atheist in the marriage, which she wasn't thrilled about, but it didn't end up like, we just kind of were like, whatever, you believe your thing, I'll believe mine. And we just kind of left it at that. So no, it didn't impact that relationship. Although I do remember when I got on Tinder again, a girl was messaging me back and forth, and then she says, "What's this atheist thing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Well, what is an atheist? And I explain it to her. She goes, "Well, all of my relationships need to be heartfelt with God involved. He will be an intimate part of all my future relationships in every way." And I just replied with, "Well, that's not me." Like, don't know what to say to that.
Yeah.
What about you, Jenna? Has it ever impacted you?
I was actually really close to a cousin of mine. Really close. Like we were drinking buddies. We would go out and drink together 2 or 3 times a week, every week, and became friends with the same people in the same group. But then I stopped drinking. And so then got bored, then became an atheist. And so then it got to where I asked him, I was like, hey, can we talk? And he was like, no, well, what do we have to talk about? I was like, well, we don't have to talk about atheism. We don't have to, because I had kind of messed up. Actually, I tried to figure out why he was a Catholic. Okay. And he got really suspicious of me. And so then we just didn't talk for a year after that. And so then this was me a year later. This was about a few months ago. I was trying to reconcile with him even. And I'm like, hey, let's try again. Please, let's, because we used to be such good friends. Like we would stay after going out drinking, we would sit on the parking garage and we would just talk for another couple hours before we drove home, Mm-hmm. But now, what are we going to talk about?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. We completely different worldview now. Like, we used to complain about Obama together.
I used to complain about Obama all the time.
And I'm like, God, I can't believe I was that person. I can't believe you still are. It's just, and he can't believe I'm this person. And so it's just like this, how do we get over that?
Right.
I don't know.
By the way, great question, Larry.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a moment. We got our first caller. So we'll bring that on. And Jenna, I got to remember, either after this or by next week, I got to have you assign you as a host to this. So that way you can see the show as well from your side. All right. So reminder, I do not have a screener right now. So I'm using the auto screener. So trigger warning, anything can get said. This is live. Chewy D, you are on with Jenna and Ethan. How are you?
Hey, Ethan and Jenna, right?
Yep.
Yes.
How you doing?
All right. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm doing good now. It's a beautiful day here.
Where you at?
It was deconversion in East Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Deconversion stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're checking up on you, seeing how you're doing. Share what you like.
Yeah, that's a good topic. So I've had like a couple of deconversions, I guess, but when I was, 12 years old, just as real as my kitty cat sitting here with me, God was real, it never occurred to me that it wasn't. And I remember watching some movie, and that movie was like a horror movie. It was a really cheesy movie. It doesn't matter what it is, but it had demon possession in it. I was like, it freaked me out because I knew there was demons in the Bible, and they possessed some pigs and some people and things like that. So I'm like, oh, that could really happen. And the way it happened in the movie was distressing and whatever for a 12-year-old. And so, that fear or whatever lingered with me for a week or whatever, and all my thoughts about things were popping up. And then I remember where I was. I remember like what time it was and who was sitting in front of me in class when I was 12 years old. When that first time the thought came up, like, could God not be real? And for a year and a half, I was like diagnosable, or I don't remember what they said, but like I had severe anxiety, basically is what it was. And I had the weirdest symptoms that came along with it. Like, I was afraid of contamination. Like, if I didn't believe, just the thought of doubt passed my mind, that I knew I was damned to go to hell, and all the bad things that are in there are going to happen to me. And like, I was chanting at myself like mantras, like Jesus is Lord, and I was like trying to build the wall back up. I had gotten a hole smashed in it, and I had all sorts of contamination issue, like fears, like I didn't want to drink out of this cup, or there was all sorts of weird superstitious stuff that was going on. It got really bad. And, I was just beside myself for a year and a half, really. And my parents were like, let's get some counseling. And, they take me to the guy at church who's the Christian counselor or whatever. It was a nightmare. So I think when that kind of thing happens, especially in that's a special stage in your life when you're 12, you're supposed to be doing fun, good things. It can be really developmentally, impacting when you're trying to come up and, that kind of thing happens to you.
Sorry, please.
Well, that's basically it. I mean, I think how somebody would go about addressing that to a kid, or if the kid had questions and it didn't just happen really like starkly like that. It didn't hit them as hard, maybe like easing somebody out of things like that. I understand the importance of that. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of great methods that I know of, at least to ease people out of it. I didn't have it back then, I'll tell you that much.
Is this your kid we're talking about?
It's me. That was me.
Oh, you were saying, how should it have happened? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What would I do if I was having that problem?
Okay, so what would have been a good idea to give a child a better experience with something like that?
Well, first, if they're raised, I don't think that it could always work out for somebody, because if they're raised in a Christian household, and my parents still are very Christian and all that, they're not going to seek some type of secular help and be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, none of this does make any sense, Matt. You need to go and, try and get yourself, just find something that works for you. They're going to try and reinforce the thing. And that almost made it worse because some of the counselors that they took me to, there's a lady down the street at the time. Mm-hmm. She's not I don't think she was any kind of registered person, but she was kind of the wise lady on the street and was closer to, I don't know, I guess had more to say about religious stuff than my parents did as far as putting it into words. And she made it 10 times worse and was saying that demons can, physically attack us and mentally attack us, and just saying, giving me the whole scoop on demonic mythologies and stuff, is what I'd call it now. And I got that made it just 10 times worse. And, the guy at church that they took me to didn't try and drop. I think he was an actual child psychologist or had some degree in that, and wasn't just like, hey, you better figure it out one way or another, or you're going to go to hell. But
did they give you any kind of solution?
No. Basically, and I don't want to dominate your time here, but
no, you're good.
That kind of led to my second, what are we calling it? Deconversion. So basically, just like anything that happens, I mean, I'm sure, and I still feel like I am, when something happens that early in your life, it definitely leaves marks on you. I'm sure I have some kind of neurosis or whatever from that. But, time went on, and I just kind of got used to living in that, and I stopped, saying mantras to myself, and I stopped being worried about the demons trying to come out and get me all the time. And I just kind of forgot about it. And I guess I got in my 20s and I got into, playing music and going to school and having friends and stuff. And so I was distracted well enough to where it went away after a while, after years, Mm-hmm. For a year and a half, it was really like over the top. I don't know if I slept that year really, unless I just passed out, And then, years later, I think I had some trouble, like just personal life stuff. And I kind of was turning around, and my mom and family were like, come on to church. And I hung out at church for a while, and I sort of rededicated myself to church stuff and religious thinking, Baptist style, and got into that for a while. And that's when I actually started kind of reading the Bible. I'd read it, I'd kind of gotten into reading a bunch of books by then. I wasn't a big reader when I was 12. And I started reading it, and I ran into things, like you guys probably know, it's an atheist show on television. Anyway, there's a lot of the people that kind of do what you guys do. And
what show are you referring to?
Having a lot of things, a lot of different ones that were pointed at, verses and things were pointed at me too, and I couldn't reconcile the stuff that was in the Bible anymore. And so that one, there was a lot more logic involved with that deconversion, and I wasn't the super hormone charged 12-year-old. And so that one was a lot easier. And so now it doesn't bother me at all. And really, it is freeing. Like, people, we do have to. There was kind of, even after that second deconversion, I just had to be like, oh wow, I don't get heaven now if I'm gonna go ahead. Well, I couldn't choose to believe. I don't think we choose that, but in the mindset that I was in, I was like, oh yeah, I don't get heaven anymore. Well, and that really gave me a lot more meaning in my life, and knowing that hey, this is what I got, and I'm gonna make it great. And I love things. It's so much better. But yeah, it's a super challenge. And when I read a lot of the stuff that's going on, just a lot of indoctrination stuff in general.
Right.
How long has it been?
That is important. I mean, I think years now. That's definitely a gradual thing. But the comfort level that I'm with now, I'm 40 years old now, has been for 5 years or something like that. After I've been watching these shows that come on, and watching on my YouTube and things like that, it just makes it easier and easier to, like, the old memories that still stick around and the little hooks that are in you. I'm plucking those out all the time, and I don't feel those tugging at me anymore emotionally. So it's great.
Can I ask? Oh, go ahead.
If I missed this, I apologize. But did you say you are an atheist now?
Yes.
And do you currently, because I know some still struggle with nightmares of hell. Like, do you ever think about that? Do you worry about that? Or where are you at mentally on that?
I think there's, that's a really good question. I don't have nightmares of it. I have really good dreams and stuff most of the time. I certainly did have a lot of nightmares when I was 12 and 13 and all that. It was just, constant, what do you call that? Paranoia about all those things, even into my sleep. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the actual logical and rational reconciliation of all of this has fleshed out the subconscious enough to where I don't have any reservations about it. I did have not a near-death experience, but I thought I thought I might get killed by, I have an allergy to the yellow jackets. My dad almost got killed by them one year, but anyway, I got stung by a couple of yellow jackets and I rushed myself to the hospital and they did all the things to treat me, but I had a serious situation for a second on my hands. And in that, I had a lot of things crossing my mind and they weren't even, I was happy after the fact to know that I wasn't like begging for heaven or begging for a deity to save me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, if I die, I die or whatever, but I'm not going to sit there. I couldn't even get there. I couldn't cognitively get myself to be afraid for God's hell anymore. And I'm glad I don't have that fear weighing me down.
Well, good. I'm glad you don't too. I usually refer to myself as one of the lucky ones because I am fortunate enough to not really care. Like the hell thing doesn't bother me. Yeah. So.
You said something that really, really piqued my interest. You said that you toned out your subconscious enough.
I think I said flushed it out. Like you can definitely have things that reside, concepts or fears or whatever that reside in your subconscious actively. And I think over time, those things can change. They can stay there or they can come or go. They can always revert, I guess. But I think when I was, 16, when I really hadn't quite recovered, but the stuff was kind of just in the back burner, if I had the bee sting, the stings or whatever, or near death situation where I thought I might die, I probably would have been begging for Jesus and begging to, worrying about hell, etc. Then, because that stuff was still in my subconscious, floating around in there, trying to find a place to sit down or whatever. It's been so long now, and I've had all the different rational conversations with myself and that I see on TV on the shows with others, like your show, that it's, I guess, flushed out. Like they can't even, those kind of thoughts and concepts don't even have an address, so to speak, in my subconscious anymore. And so it's hard to even conjure those fears, regardless of what happens, up to and including a touch of possible death. You know what I'm saying? As far as the sting situation. Yeah.
What have you replaced that with?
All the fears and things like that?
No, your old solution to your problem, which was to just pray to Jesus. What have you replaced that with? What do you do now when you're in a situation to where you would have done that? You say that you flushed it out. What is there instead now?
Well, even after my second logical, rational reckoning with deconversion, I still had a lot of irrational fears that were just based on all of the religious mythos, and also I've got a pretty wild imagination anyway. And it's not like I'm afraid, it's not as if was afraid of the dark or anything, but it might have been just some leftover stuff from the childhood impact, the trauma. But when I would walk around at night, my imagination would get the best of me. And when you look into darkness kind of wiggles around. And anyway, my imagination would get away from me and I would be afraid. I would have fear. So to answer your question, what do I replace it with now? I think I decided, some years ago that whatever is out there, or whatever my wildest imaginings could be, possibly the boogeyman or hells, or even just the fear of death, the uncomfortable thing that might happen that brings you to your end. I would rather let it, whatever it is, get me than spend a single second being afraid. Right. There's a movie, and I hate to be cheesy, but I love sci-fi. There's actually a remake of this movie coming out soon.
It's called. Say that again.
Movie titles.
What was that?
But you ever heard of Dune? It's a movie from the 80s, and there's a remake.
I've heard of the book.
Yeah, there's a book. That's what it came from originally. But
okay, I didn't know if it was the same thing.
Like a mantra against fear in it, and it's pretty good. I don't know it right off the top of my head, so I won't recite it. But it's basically like, when fear comes along, I will let the fear pass over me and pass through me, and when it's gone, I'll look back and there won't be anything there, but me. I'm still here, and so I would rather just basically jettison fear in a lot of forms. I mean, I'll run from a grizzly bear or a guy with a gun or whatever, but anything that's irrational or anything I couldn't help, I've trained my mind enough to kind of get over fear.
That's good.
Entirely.
Well,
not something that we really focus on. It's not really something that they teach kids to, because a lot of people require you to have fear to get your money.
Well, fear is a useful emotion. That's something that I've learned, is that, hold on. So like fear, anger, even anxiety, these are not negative emotions. It's when you experience them in excess or in extreme levels that they become a problem. But you experience them for a reason. Your emotions are things that you have learned throughout time. Your subconscious collects them, right? And then it's not necessarily based off of logic. It's based off of like repetition, but it collects it. And your subconscious is trying to speak out for you, because in case your logic thinking part of your brain can't think quickly enough, in case, for example, when your adrenaline kicks in, right? It's like, oh, something bad's going to happen. We know it. So, or when you have another emotion, when you experience happiness or when you experience anger, your emotions are trying to tell you something. So experiencing anger or even like guilt is not a negative emotion. It's telling you that you have somehow betrayed yourself morally. Shame is a negative emotion in the sense that shame is where you internalize it and you take it to mean that you are therefore a bad person. That's not useful. That's something that is used negatively. But guilt, if you can learn to talk to yourself and turn that emotion to guilt, it's useful in being true to yourself and remaining honest and remaining whoever it is you want to be. You know what I mean? So it's just something that I've learned, is that not feeling emotions isn't necessarily a good thing. It's learning, okay, I feel something, maybe learn how to put it on the back burner long enough to come back to it later to deal with it, but make sure you deal with it because it's there for a reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, this is not coming from a therapist. This is coming from somebody who's just obsessively interested in psychology and all that. So I'm a peer.
Yeah, no, right on. I agree with that. I think getting rid of the irrational ones is good, and paying attention to the ones like you said, if you're calling it guilt, your conscience or whatever, that is important, and trying to keep your affinity the way you want it in the direction. I agree.
Like, make sure you evaluate, is it guilt or shame? Why? And then try to talk to yourself the right way, and when you feel anger, is this justified anger? And it gives you, it's trying to bring your attention to something,
I'll leave you with one more thing and I'll get off and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
In everything that you just said and what I was talking about fear earlier and all that, a lot of folks, you got, take your pick of YouTube folks. Matt Dillahunty is one of these. I'm not really 100% sure what his full take on it is, so I'm not putting words in his mouth. But what I've taken from all these different sources and put together and have my own take on is the free will argument. I do see, like a lot of us, we do give meaning to our lives, and there are patterns and things going on in a human life, but a lot of this stuff is what happened before, a result of what happened before directly. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of like what our choices and how we would assess that guilt, how we would assess the fears, all that stuff is kind of just chemicals bouncing around. And that also, it is kind of like, I don't want to say it's discouraging really, but it is freeing also in a way. So as far as like the anger goes, I think what made me think of all this is Jenna was saying, should you be angry at the thing, or is the guilt in the right place, or whatever? Are you dialing your emotions in right? really helps me forgive people or forgive myself and not light up with emotion really quickly if I get cut off in traffic or whatever. And I just understand that I think everything's in motion and people are kind of quote unquote doing the best that they can, even if they're a total jackass or whatever. I guess the free will argument, or the lack of free will argument, gives a lot of latitude for letting things go easy. That's it.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like, it's like the emotion isn't about me. It's about that person. When that person is angry at me on the road, they're having a bad day. It's not that they think that I'm a bad person because they know me. They're having a bad day. It's not about me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all mess up. So try not to react to everything.
Definitely.
Understanding that it's working out great. And, I do owe a lot to people who are in your position. I haven't heard this show before. I think I saw something about it for a second last week. And I thought it was a show about cats or dogs.
So each week, we are going to cover, it's pretty much like an everything show. We have just been covering mental health and other topics. So last week it was mental health. Like, how do pets contribute to your mental health? Today, deconversions in mental health. Yeah. Next week, have no idea, but we'll figure that out.
Cool. I wish you guys luck in the show.
No, thank you so much. And thank you for calling and sharing your experiences. And I hope you have a wonderful week.
And if you feel like you have friends that might benefit from calling in and sharing experiences as well, tell them about it, because we're trying to be a good, supportive peer show where people can talk.
Yes. And,
it is good to talk.
So thank you, Chewy.
Thank you for calling.
Also,
you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. For those that don't know, we do have a Patreon set up, but we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. We are going to be using a percentage of our Patreon to donate it to,
Recovering from Religion.
Recovering from Religion. And then also, additionally, we're going to be finding ways to give that back to the audience or to the community. So, yeah. If you like what we do, consider showing your support. It's patreon.com/the Ethan and Jenna Show. Or, if you want to tip us, you can buy us a cup of coffee all the links are in the description. Anyways, Jenna, are you ready for our next caller?
Please, let's go.
All right. We have on Dennis. Dennis, you are live with Jenna and Ethan. How are you?
Hi, Dennis.
Okay, a little nervous.
Nothing to be nervous about. We don't bite.
Take a deep breath. You're good.
Okay. I've been agnostic for a long time, but I have a serious mental illness, and if I even try to think that there's a God, it makes me upset. And I'm not sure he made me this way, I guess, if there is a God.
May I ask, why does it upset you?
Just that if there is a God, why did he do this to me? If I don't think about it, I do pretty well for myself.
What if there isn't?
And that's where I fail.
Can you think of any other reasons why? So is it? What do you mean? Did this to you? Is it that you're different, or is that you're in pain?
I guess you could say mental pain.
Mental pain.
Most of my life.
Is it
the why?
Depression, and if you're not comfortable answering, please don't feel obligated to answer.
Oh, I'm open. I'm very open about it. So, what was the question?
Is it when you say you're in mental pain? Is it like anxiety, depression? What's happening?
Severe depression. I'm schizoaffective. No big deal anymore to me. On my meds, I take care of myself.
Good.
But it's still trying to be open-minded is my downfall.
Why is that?
That's where I get into the why.
Being open-minded about if there's a God is when you start getting on in a rabbit hole. What if you thought about other things? Like, what if you started thinking about physics or astrophysics and start looking into space and stars and kind of how that works? Could you go down that rabbit hole instead?
Yeah, I have hobbies, and I study other things.
Oh, you do? Okay, so it's just that when you come to this.
But all I know are religious people.
You don't have any like agnostic or atheist friends?
No. In fact,
okay, so it's a subject.
Atheist groups like 100 miles away. So.
Do you have any friends online? Any maybe discussion forums or chat rooms that you can go to? Maybe any apps on your phone of places you can go where you like-minded people?
My counselor and I'm in an art therapy program. They understand it. It's the other people I know personally or I'm around, a little more vocal about it. But
do you have any other friends though? Like any other people that you can discuss these things with? Like a variety of people?
I probably need to maybe find a message board that
we have friends
agnostic.
Who will start posting things in the chat for you. Who will start posting links to places that you can go. And if they don't, then I will look up a bunch and post them in the description below this after this video is posted. But I'm sure that with the people that we have in here that we'll get something. But we have some sites that sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just saying there are some sites that I know that I used because I still don't know many atheists at all or agnostics or anything. And I use these. So they were very helpful for me. And if you'd like to use them, they are available. So we will provide them for you.
Well, I appreciate that. The closest I've come is agnostic.com. They have a mental health group. But
there's also the Secular Therapy Project. That's worth looking into.
Well, he said he's seeing a therapist, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my counselor either
is a counselor the same thing as a therapist? Are you
doesn't push religion?
Okay, so it's a secular counselor at least is. I mean, a guidance, any kind of counselor is good.
Have you tried there's a website and app called Meetup, and on there you can actually find groups in your area. So you create an account, and then you can search like atheist, agnostic, and you will find local communities of people who meet up just to talk about that stuff. Like it could be a dating one, it could be a one where you talk about religion, or it could be one where you just talk about anything. But I would highly recommend it. In my experience, the age groups are extremely diverse, so it's not limited to like a select audience. I would definitely recommend if you have time and a way to do that, I would give it a shot.
I think I have looked, and again, the only ones I've found are like 100 miles away. I live in a very small town in the middle of the desert, so.
Okay, yeah. So,
Best Name Ever has been posting some links in the comments for you, or in the chat. I've been posting some of them on the screen for you. Do you know what Discord is? This thing here.
I tried the ACA Discord, and it just confused me. It's not like the old bulletin board.
Okay.
So
used to be on the modem.
I'm actually, despite my age, I'm on the same page as you. I find Discord to be actually kind of difficult and tedious. So I'm not I'm trying to learn it more because a lot of people go to their Engage, but I'm on the same page as you, Dennis. It's kind of confusing, and it would be nice if there was something just a little bit easier for the average everyday user.
But once you get it, it starts to get pretty easy. And there are, if you're really interested, I'm sure that there's something on YouTube that can teach you. If not, then I know that Best Name Ever
has every link ever made.
Has other places for you to go.
Yeah, if you're watching the YouTube video right now, Best Name Ever is posting a whole bunch of groups: Facebook, YouTube, Discord, Reddit, and Twitter. Reddit is actually a pretty simple one. It's just it's a basic website. Wouldn't be a bad idea to check that out.
Yeah, the first ones are Facebook groups. Okay. If you have a Facebook, those are accessible. Twitter, obviously, you have to have a Twitter. Do you have any of these as a username? As a user?
Not at the moment. I deleted my Facebook account.
Okay. Do any of these sound interesting to you? I don't think. Do you have to have an account to have Reddit?
No, to read Reddit, you do not have to have an account, only to respond.
So if you want to chat, meetup, no, you have to have an account. So, I mean, I guess just take a look at all, you can probably read through each of them, just maybe write each of them down. So like at the very beginning of the chat, there's a Discord, there's Reddit, there's Twitter, write each down, look it up and see which one looks more appealing to you, more user-friendly to you. And then I would try to make an account. I don't think you have to pay for any of them. And so just make an account, and then I would watch a YouTube video on how to use it. I'm sure there's something out there. But yes, thank you so much. I hope that you can find some community there. If not, I'm sure you could Google atheist community and then your town. And then you might have some kind of something pop up that you never knew about. That happens quite often. I have found that people have no idea that there's actually a whole group of people that already believe what's similar to them and are struggling and feel alone. And oh man, I'm so happy that you feel better now, at least.
And I mean,
yeah.
Dennis,
thanks for your show.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you for calling.
Okay.
But
I'll check out the links.
Yeah. Check it out. Let us know what you think later if they work for you.
And keep in touch, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. How are you doing on callers?
We have open lines at the moment, so no callers.
Okay. Well, we actually haven't gotten to how you are after deconverting.
So, he brought something up, and which kind of leads into what I was going to say is
perfect.
A couple things, but now we're at 7 months ago, 8 months ago, I had no atheist friends, literally none. And I was very alone in that atmosphere. I'm like, I'm never going to find a girl who wants to date an atheist. I don't know anybody that's atheist. They all think I'm the odd one. And for me, creating this YouTube channel was like my original YouTube channel was one of the best things that could have ever, happened to me because, we just got a few callers. Was one of the things that ever happened to me because I met not just like amazing people like you, Jenna Belk, but like I now have atheist friends. Now I have so many that I actually need to look for some Republican friends again because I cannot be only surrounded by atheists. I need to hear like other sides. So I gotta go out. I have to find more Christian Republican friends. So if you're a Christian Republican, find me on Facebook right now. I need more of you in my life.
We need to like swap family members because like my family triggers me. This is like, I need to talk to your family. Be like, hi guys, you don't know me, but I'd like to be your friend.
Dude, we just got like 3 callers. So let's get with let me find. All right. Again, trigger warning. This is live and we don't have a screener. All right. I can't see the name on this, but
Oh, James is a Christian.
lingering problems from deconversions. Hi, you're on with
Hi.
Hi, who is this?
Hi.
This is Eve. I called like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
Eve.
how are you?
Let's see.
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you.
How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing okay. I just actually made a big move, so I'm getting through, but it's, it is what it is. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to talk about like lingering problems, because kind of like you were saying just now, Ethan, about like getting connected to like a bunch of atheists. I stopped believing in God when I was like probably 12 or so, but like I grew up in a super intense environment. And even though like I stopped believing so young, I still notice even now as like a 24-year-old, like I carry so many issues with me, like constant need to like people please. Like I mentioned in the chat earlier, like I've had nightmares like almost every night since I was like pretty little. I don't know, it's a crazy thing that like I can totally, when I'm in my waking life, ration through and logic through all of these problems and like cope really well. But still these things can linger for so long into your life.
Well, how are you doing overall? Is this a main thing that you're struggling with right now?
Yeah, I think I would say it's probably the source of, I think, the majority of my mental health issues.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know. It's funny because I think for a long time, well, it's not funny, but that's, I guess, a coping skill. For a long time, I remember talking about like saying that I'm pretty sure what made me so fucked up in the head was the religious environment I grew up in. And I remember people like kind of being like, oh, like, I think you're taking that too personally. Like, that's not what Christians do, kind of thing. And
I can't stand when people say that. That's so invalidating.
Yeah, I get why. I mean, they're kind of like conditioned, I guess, to respond that way. But yeah, like getting a good therapist and coming into the internet world has been kind of revolutionary for me to be like, oh my God, there's all these people who get what I've been through and understand that.
And they're incredibly supportive and they want to talk about it and they want to be there for you. Like there really is a great community out there. You just have to reach out.
Well, and not even just one, there's several communities, and then they're all somewhat connected by other communities. And so you even if you find out that you don't fit in with one community, go find another one. There are more and they're growing. Gosh, like just watching there are people reaching out left and right. Oh my gosh, I just deconverted. People are thinking about this. We have free time. We have time to talk with each other and help each other and actually think about this kind of thing. And I think good things are happening and communities are growing. Yes. And we're watching this community grow. Like all of us are new. Almost everyone here is new.
I know I'm new.
I'm new.
No, you've got a little.
I've been an atheist for almost 2 years.
Okay. I have been an atheist since 2015. So check this out. I actually had to trace back. Okay, so there was a period of time where my like seizures and depression was so bad that my memory is just not there. So I couldn't pinpoint when I became an atheist. I knew it was like between 2014 and 2016. So I used my Facebook memories to determine when I became an atheist. So it was I remember like when it happened in my head, but I didn't actually remember the time frame. So 2015 is when I went to atheism.
What about you, Eve?
I think, well, like I said, I think I kind of stopped believing in God at least around like 12, but for like a long time, I really clung to like ideas about like the spirit, and I kind of was into like a lot of like new age, like woo-woo stuff for a while.
Do
I think I went through enough hard shit that by the time I got to like my 20s, I was kind of like, okay, I think this all just kind of seems like bullshit at this point. But I didn't really like think about it thoroughly enough to say I was an atheist. That's probably been more in the past like 2 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm probably about the same amount of time. This is like August, I became pro-life. And then like a month and a half later, I became an atheist because my sister had asked me, she was like, wait, so like, when do you think a soul is like starts? Or do you believe in a soul? I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah.
I heard a good question recently, and that is, I forgot to take this comment off screen. Crap. Oh, what happens to your soul if you get cryogenically frozen? And I'd be very curious of what my theistic friends would say to that question.
Oh, yeah. Geez.
Wouldn't it just stay there?
Get cryogenically frozen in the spirit realm.
Or wouldn't you just say what it feels like?
I will say I would agree to get cryogenically frozen in the instance that there was a chance to be woken back up several years later. I mean, chances are it's a gigantic waste of money. Yeah, well, right now, the people that are doing it, unfortunately, it's shown that it's highly unlikely that it will actually work because the freezing process destroys the tissues, and when you bring them back, they essentially turn to mush or mush. So yeah, right now there really is no way to actually bring people back from being frozen.
I mean, when you think about meat, after you freeze meat, it's different.
Well, it is. They use a different type of way to freeze, and it's a really low temperature. But again, from everything I've read, that doesn't matter.
We'll have to look into that because I don't know. I don't know to really say anything.
Yeah.
And next week on the show,
no. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Eve, I'm curious. You say that you struggle with this kind of thing now. And it's been relatively recent since you've actually come to the atheist conclusion. And I'm curious if you've discovered meditation at all.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I feel like I developed kind of the skill of meditation when I was into my woo-woo phase. So that actually kind of worked out for me that way. But yeah, since kind of becoming more of like a science-based person, I found it extremely helpful. It's one of the, I have to meditate at least probably once or twice a day, usually. I'll catch myself like getting really like caught up in like shame cycles of like certain things and certain ideas. And I just have to like, I'll notice more of the physical symptoms first usually. And I kind of have to just sit myself down and be like, okay, like, let's analyze this. Where is this coming from? Like, where are these physical sensations? And then just, I try to do like some like self-compassion stuff too in my meditation. And usually within like 10 minutes or so, I can kind of at least get myself to where I feel like I'm grounded again, even if it's not like perfect. But yeah, meditation is a life-saving skill.
Do you mind if I ask how you meditate, like what you do specifically, just so that we can learn? Because we're learning that everybody does it so differently.
Yeah. Well, like I said, for me, like I definitely start when I notice, like for example, if I get on like a shame spiral or something like that,
right.
I'll notice usually like a lot of heat in my chest and like my gut.
Okay.
So usually I try to notice like the physical sensations, like the couch on my ass or like the blanket over me or something. And I try to just really focus on the physical sensation and like really hone in on that, because I feel like that's the only thing that makes me mindful. I think if I go into my thoughts too hard, my brain just runs away with it. So I have to try to be really intent on focusing on like the physical of the here and now. And usually after some deep breathing and doing that for a while, eventually my mind will quiet down.
Have you heard of the love languages?
I'm sorry, the what?
I'm sorry, Eve, have you heard of the love languages?
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, totally.
If you don't mind me asking, which would you say is like your top one or two?
Ironically, I guess this kind of relates. I feel like you're getting onto something here. I've never noticed this. Yeah, physical touch is definitely my top love language.
Right. So I'm noticing it's the same for touch and sight, and I'm obsessed with colors. And what I do is I have to pay attention to colors. So I'm noticing this connection here that if you pay attention to your love language, like if you pet me, oh my goodness, pet my head. Literally just pet me and oh, okay. This is interesting.
It's almost like an exercise and like expressing love to yourself, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. Oh my God. Woo! So sorry, throughout life, I have these little...
Learn your love language. You got it.
Learn your love language. Do it to yourself when you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, and incorporate that in your meditation. So Ethan, do you mind if I ask, what's your love language?
I don't know.
Do you know what the love languages are?
No, I've heard of it, but I don't know what the love language is.
Perfect example for us to talk about the love languages. Okay, so real quick, just so that we don't keep you for too long. Okay, so first there's no order. You can order them yourselves. There's expressing love, or there's the 5 ways that you feel loved. Okay, so say I love you, I can express it, and you'll feel like I love you when I tell you I love you, or if I do something for you, so acts of service. If I give you a hug, physical touch. All right. The telling I love you is words of affirmation. There's buying you a gift, right? If I were to chip in on lunch or something, or what was the other one?
I would say physical touch is mine. Like, but depending on the person, because I also don't like to be touched by random people. Like if someone comes up to me and try like just putting their hand on my shoulders, it's like, nope, don't do that. But if I'm comfortable with you, then yeah, just like rubbing, massaging, caressing, like all that stuff totally calms me down. Specifically, obviously if it's someone I'm in a relationship with, it's just like instant stress reliever for me.
Yeah. So maybe try to incorporate that. Like I have a body pillow and a weight blanket, and the weight blanket is fleece, so it's soft. And so I have to remember what the other love language is. There's words of affirmation. There's acts of service. There's touch, gifts. Oh, quality time. Spending time with someone, right? And so if you spend time really looking at these, because for the longest time, I thought that quality time was my love language. Turns out touch and acts of service for me are way higher than quality time, and I never knew it. And so now that I know how to express to my husband, oh my gosh, when you do the dishes for me when I come home, that means the world to me. If I know that about myself, I can tell him and all that. But even to bring it back to the topic for meditation, you can express it to yourself if you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
We do have 2 other callers. So Eve, I do want to thank you very much for calling back in again.
Thank you for calling again, Eve. Yeah. You're awesome. And good luck with everything. And
you're welcome to call back anytime, Eve. You've been a pleasure.
I don't even know if we had time to help you.
Oh, don't worry, I will.
Have we helped you at all?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, having a space among atheists to talk about mental health like this is so awesome. So helpful.
That's what we're trying to do.
Hey, we'll have to quarantine 5. Right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Or wait, you and I should be like this.
Guys.
Wait, there we go. Other way. Bam. Thanks, Eve.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, no. Crap. Hang on. Sorry for that audio. One can be 30
What was
seconds.
that?
I totally...
We
hang on. I have to reestablish the connection. Give me just one quick second.
That's okay. We can just talk about...
hold that thought for
languages.
You're about to hear a noise.
Ooh,
You are now in the host room and can manage your callers. To accept, press.
Okay, sorry about that. I dropped the wrong line. Anyway,
we still have someone, right?
Calling again. Yeah, we have 2 people. So
okay.
This one I'm uncertain about, so we'll see. Anonymous, you are on with Ethan and Jenna.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Darth Dawkins. I'd like to know
Darth.
from you guys, since you're atheists or agnostics, which means that you hold to a universal negative, how you justify the
Wait, you're going to tell me what I believe?
Gnosticism.
Hey, Darth, I definitely want to talk to you, but this show is specifically right now on mental health and deconversions, so we want to stay focused on that.
Well, that's funny because the last couple of times you were in the Discord rooms, you wouldn't dialogue with me. Could you explain that?
Me?
Oh, hold on. Darth, can I talk to you for a second? Just real quick. Is there any way that we can talk with you about mental health or deconversion?
Yeah, I would like to know why the concept of deconversion is valid, given that deconversion implies atheism or agnosticism, which is a universal negative.
Okay, well, actually, so since you're calling the show, Darth, I'm going to explain to you that deconversion actually means when we have gone through the experience of, you know what, can you drop him because he's just... So deconversion is when you go through the experience of having a religion and believing in it and practicing it and using it throughout your life. And then you end up looking at it closer and asking certain questions that you weren't necessarily asked before, and it kind of rattles you and it shakes your worldview, and you end up changing, your belief changes, and you end up not believing anymore whatever it is that you believed in before. I try not to overgeneralize, but it's when you do that, whether you're going towards religion or away from it, whatever, when you make that kind of a change, it is extremely stressful on your body, on your mental health, on your emotions. And so, you know, regardless of what the deconversion is, I'd like to be here for people that are struggling with that right now, because we have a quarantine. We don't have a lot of options for places to go and get out and talk with each other. So Ethan and I would like to have the opportunity to share this with whoever would like to be productive. Now, if you'd like to get with us after the show, please leave your information in the chat, or, you know, we do have some moderators though. If you're putting, you know, if you let us know too many times, we'll reduce it down to 1 or 2. But, you know, we're trying to be productive here. We're trying to be friendly here. And if there's a reason, if somebody is avoiding you that is in this community, maybe stop and ask yourself why. Because these are some of the nicest and most generous people that I've ever met. There may be a reason you don't know about. There may be something that's going on where this person just doesn't have time to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Now, you have to understand that to have a conversation, you have to have 2 people agree to it. Anyway, right. Moral of the story, we're here to be helpful.
Yeah, and so just, you know, I don't want to stay on this, but right. You know, DD, you know, I have a show every Tuesday. It's a call-in show where you're welcome to call and ask those questions.
Cool.
However, this particular show is not going to be focused on, you know, religious arguments or debunking atheism or religion. Mm-hmm. We're just talking about mental health. If that was something you wanted to talk about, you know, that's okay. But that's where we're going to stay focused, you know, for this show.
Thank you for trying, and I'm sorry that things aren't working out. We have another caller, though, you said?
I do. I'll be honest. I would like to meet Darth and just give him a big friggin' hug. Like, I do.
Dude.
I just want to hug everybody, but he's one of the people I want to be like, dude, love you, bro, and just give him a hug.
Anybody, you know, I'm not Darth Dawkins, Tangelo's on like this list of people that are just not necessarily liked amongst this community that I have found myself in. And, you know, I understand why, is because, you know, these guys keep coming back and in a very forceful manner, and people just get kind of tired of that, because you're not the only ones that we experience like this in our lives. So when we come to this community, we're usually looking for some kind of a safe place. And when you interrupt that, it's not really welcome. If you want to come in and hang out and be peaceful, you have to be patient and realize that this is our area. We're not coming into your church demanding that we have a philosophical discussion about whether or not the resurrection happened. Okay. If people do that, then I'm sorry, but I'm not doing that. So to get back to
and then also additionally, whether you like DD or not, please do not go calling out his real name in the comments. This is not a place for doxing or harassing people. Whether you like him or not, that does not belong here. It doesn't belong anywhere. Like, you shouldn't dox anybody. Anyways, let's get to, this might be our last caller. Personal favorite of, I think, Jenna and myself, IQ. You're on with Jenna. How are you?
Hello, you guys.
What's up,
What's
dude?
up?
Glad to be able to make the call.
Yeah. I haven't heard of your deconversion.
Quite busy this time of day, but I made some arrangements in my schedule to make this happen. So it's good to be able to call in. First off, this is awesome, what you guys are doing. The focus on mental states and mental health is drastically needed. In our society, we are focused so much on cognitive intelligence that emotional intelligence and mental states have been kind of pushed to the wayside and stigmatized. And you guys are normalizing that and putting it in a format where people can feel comfortable coming in and talking to people and explaining themselves. And that is beyond golden. So thank you both for doing this. It's amazing.
Yay. Thank you for your support. You're like moderating, helping us keep this a safe community where people are being patient and open and skeptical, and you're awesome. You're a very good example.
And for those who don't know, IQ is a tremendous asset to the atheist community. He is always watching the videos, talking to people, checking up on people. He's got he's got like a sixth sense, because when I was having my struggles like a month ago, prior to me being like public about any of it, this dude sends me a message and is like, "Are you okay?" And I immediately got defensive. I'm like, "How do you know? Who told you? I haven't told anybody anything."
I understand how that probably looked kind of bad, but I guarantee you nobody told me anything. I'm quite empathetic when it comes to picking up body language and cues and stuff, because I know pain.
Yeah.
I know when somebody's experiencing mental anguish. Now you can throw that, the counting horse thing out, where just of course everybody just is experiencing some kind of pain. Everybody is going through some type of trauma, and that's just a given.
Right.
Everybody.
But I see it in somebody's eyes, even when they're smiling. I can see right through that fucking mask, and something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I've developed a skill to be able to just see that and ask somebody what's wrong, because a lot of people just brush that aside. They might feel that and they just disregard it like it's nothing, or they don't want to overstep. You just calmly and politely ask somebody, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" It's so important to be in touch with somebody's emotional state. I can argue that it's more important to have your emotional intelligence intact than your cognitive, because you can forget things. You could know a lot of different maths and studies and have a lot of different information packed in your head. But if your mental state isn't right, it's worthless. You're not going to be able to function.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to carry yourself. Depression is real, and it will cripple your cognitive intelligence. So being in touch with that is super, super important. That's what I focused on. That's why you don't see me jumping in, arguing the Bible, because there's enough people out there doing that. I don't believe it, and I drop it at that. I can come out with a few catchphrases that can sustain an argument when need be, but really I focus on the people. I'm a humanist before anything, and I want people to be okay. I want people to get along. I want people to be in a state where they can have better conversations with people. And that involves knowing when you're hitting your line, knowing when you're getting too pissed off, when you're getting irrational, and you're going to let your emotions take over a logical conversation. I hop in and I try to help people get cool. Now, I've got a lot of my own problems, and that's kind of an understatement, but I get through it. There's a lot of philosophy and rationalization that I use to console myself, but I find comfort in helping other people, and that brings me purpose. And purpose is the big thing where a lot of people that are deconverting go wrong. They fall into nihilism, and they've spent most of their life being prescribed their purpose.
Right.
Exactly. What are you replacing it with?
They are and what they are. And when you let all that go, you're like, what is there? Like, I'm nothing now. No, you're not. You're just at the beginning of finding you, the real you. You might have found it before, but it's been prescribed to you your whole life. Go out, find out who you are, make your purpose, make the world around you, because that's how you escape the nihilism. Because the purpose isn't prescriptive, really. We give things purpose. We give ourselves purpose, and I found my purpose, and that's helping people. It brings me joy, and it brings me comfort. And there's always going to be bullshit. There's always going to be something going wrong. There's always going to be something happening that is trying to tear you down.
Right.
But you need to know who you are inside, and don't let anything shake that, because if you know who you are upstairs, nobody can touch that. And
it's true.
Well, know that also that you're flexible, that you change.
Sorry,
right?
What was that? What did you say?
Me?
No, I didn't hear Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna.
No, sorry. Also, but that's the other thing, is also accept that you change, and that you're not this like solid rock that just never changes. Every day we are somebody different. Every day is it's hard, you know? I'm sorry. I'm so taking over what you were talking about. I'm just like, I'm really feeling. Please continue.
Build on it. Like, apparently I've hit a touchy spot right here, and that's where we want to be. We want to be where the emotion is with this. We want to be what hits you, not in a bad way, but what brings that out of you. You know, because that's your sweet spot. You know, that's what's going to get the most truth out of you, like from your emotions. Because this is an emotional conversation, correct? Right. And that's what we want to touch on, is what drives somebody, and what gets somebody going, and the passion. And if we can touch on that and find ways to convert with each other in an emotional sense, and be more sympathetic to what causes somebody to act the way they are,
we'd be better off.
Then we could be way better off.
You're amazing. That's it's exactly what we need to be telling each other, and stop beating each other up and making each other feel bad for being different.
I've been through the ringer enough to, and I pay attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've made enough mistakes to have learned a lot from those mistakes.
God.
And I did a U-turn, and I turned things around, and I'm saying no more. I know how to do things wrong. And I think that's what qualifies somebody better to be an expert on anything than any knowledge that they can get from a book.
Yes.
Is knowing how to fuck up first.
I like that.
Well, how would you say that you are now? You're flourishing? I would say, it sounds to me like you're flourishing. How would you describe how you are now?
From an emotional, mental health state.
How are you?
Yeah, I am. It's going to be kind of hard to go down the complete list, the synopsis of everything that is IQ, but I am constantly on the cusp of mental breakdown, and sorrow, and sadness, and anxiety, and I'm also constantly consoled and happy. because I find a balance in everything.
Right.
There's a lot of drama and a lot of bullshit that goes on in my life, and I accept that. I don't lay down and let things happen to me, but I understand that life isn't always going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, because that is a pipe dream.
Nope.
I do what I can to keep myself happy, because I see the beauty in the world. I see the beauty in people, even what we consider to be the ugly people, quote unquote. I don't focus on that. What's beautiful about them? What's beautiful about me? What's beautiful about my surroundings? Yes, there's always shit happening, but what good is happening? What didn't happen that's even uglier than what I think's happening right now? Be grateful that that shit didn't happen. And that gets you through a day. Every day is just a series of moments, and you need to get yourself through those moments and know that you are the only you that's ever going to be here, and you need to be okay with who you are, and your surroundings is just, that's what you have to live in. Change what you can, and don't worry about what you are not in control of, because all that's going to do is just lead you down a rabbit hole of shit that's going to lead to frustration.
Right.
So I am in a state of kind of everything, to answer your question. Just like the rest of us. I don't let the shit take control, though.
That's good. That's what you go for, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
everybody always sees me joking. That's what I do. Because I'm constantly in a world of shit, so I balance it out with a world of comedy.
Right, because you can't stop. That's just so much of the problem that I see with religion, is that we're under the impression that we have more control than we do, and that control that we think that we have makes us go crazy, thinking, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And then what we don't get the chance to stop and realize is that if we would just accept that these things, that whatever we're trying to force, it's going to happen whether we like it or not, then we can learn to kind of roll with it. We can learn how to try to make it easier as it comes, and just accept it, kind of like accept that there's shit and gold together, that's just life. That's just how it's going to be. So you can try to put it in a bag and learn to carry it with you, or you can just ignore it and just keep walking through it. Sorry.
Yeah, ignoring your problems.
Oh, you're fine.
Will make them grow and turn into more problems.
Exactly. And you don't learn to manage it.
Yeah, never turn your back on a lion.
Right?
Throw him a steak.
Acting like it's not there isn't going to make it go away.
A real lion, because if you throw him a steak, take your chance to run. But just I guess to say, don't embrace your problems. Don't turn your back on them.
Right.
Find a way to make them work for your life, and do not let them fester, because your problems are your problems. It's gonna get moldy if you just ignore it. Tackle them head on. See what you can control, and what you can't control. There's nothing you can do about it. You just need to be like water, as they say.
As you practice, though, it gets easier.
Giving me a lot of help.
You find better tools along the way, and it gets easier to manage if you practice learning how to deal with things, from my experience.
Yeah. If you ignore the problems, that you never learn how to deal with them.
Exactly.
But with the practice, you address them, and you get better at it, and things become easier. So never tell yourself that you can't do something. Doesn't matter if you believe if you can or you can't accomplish something. You're right.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe I can accomplish anything I set my mind to.
Look what we're doing.
Apart from jumping off of a building and flying. Don't
no.
Let's
depends on what gear you've got.
Let's be real.
Always within reason, right?
I went back in time and just several months and just said, hey, dude, Ethan, did you know that if you start a YouTube channel, you're going to end up getting to talk to all the people you adore and have a show with Jenna Belk? I wouldn't have believed it, but it shows that like excuse my language, I fucking work my ass off. Like, if you put in the work, you see the results. And I have definitely, since February, put in the work, and I've seen the results, and it's been a friggin' amazing ride, which also goes into my mental health. But before I go into that, IQ, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
Probably, but we'll save that for another day. I appreciate you guys taking the call.
No, thank you for calling us, and thank you for all your support in the community.
And your wise words.
Thank you. You're quite welcome.
Now, everyone go follow IQ on Twitter.
Yes.
Awesome. No, IQ finds you. That's how it works.
You did find me, so thanks, IQ.
I appreciate it. Yep. See you guys.
Talk to you later. Well, it's really nice when we have like that many callers, like back to back to back to back. That's cool. And, I think we're making some really good progress, and I hope we can do this every Sunday.
So far.
We'll keep growing every Sunday.
Yeah.
So let me try and summarize, since we're, past time.
Aww.
Let me try and summarize my mental health since becoming an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
I went through, I'd say the most difficult transition for me was not giving up the belief, but was accepting the fact that I'm never going to see my brother again. Like, that was a major hurdle for me, because I then had to like recognize, like, okay, I thought I was going to see him again. Now I'm pretty confident I'm never going to see him again. So I have to deal with that. However, in my opinion, and I really hope I'm right, it's made me a happier and much better and compassionate human being. Like 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I probably would have hated my own show. Like, the 5-year-old that would have watching this would be like, mental health, you guys are being crybabies. Just get over it. Yeah, exactly. You're just making a big deal about stuff. You just, wipe some dirt on it. And
right. I have problems too.
Yeah, exactly. What are you complaining about? Oh, you're sad? That's no big deal. Like, I would have been that friggin' jackass. So,
and if you're saying this to yourself right now, no offense, I'm not hating on you or hating on the idea that idea is a jackass idea.
It is.
It really is, because look at it. Like, look how healthy we are now. Like, we have shows. I could not have done this when my emotions were all over the place and I was drinking every night and I was blacking out. I'm not a good drinker, Sorry, please keep going. I keep talking.
And yes, by the way, thank you everyone. And specifically also thank you, Christian J. Watkins. He shared our channel last night and immediately got us over the 100 subs. So we can that custom channel URL. And the second he sent me that message, I literally ran to my computer, went to YouTube and claimed that shit. I was just like, yes.
Thank you, Ethan. And thank you, Christian.
Yeah, thank you, Christian.
Best name. Thank you, Brainbuck. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you, everyone. Anyway, so when in February, I had already split from my partner, but we were still living together. So in February was a crazy month. I moved out of my house. 3 days later, I had surgery on my arm. So I was stuck in this like brace thingy. It was, and I started my YouTube channel. Like, one of my first videos has me in a little brace like this as I'm debating a guy. So, back then, while I was happy, I was actually fucking lonely, very, very lonely, because I had been with my partner for over 10 years. So it was a crazy change for me. But starting YouTube, I ended up building this small community of my own and meeting all these people, which turned my, I'm not lonely anymore. Well, I mean, I have my moments, of course. Like, yes, I want someone to lay down and watch a movie with, or, smoke a doobie with and laugh and dance, because I'm a goofy dude. But, I have friends. I have friends in the atheist community. It's really been a great experience. And despite all the bullshit and crap going on in 2020, and besides all the horrible things, these have this has been a really great and positive experience for me, and I would not change it for anything in the world.
I love it. I love it. So far, it sounds like we've heard a bunch of, yes, negative, but there's acknowledgement, and then there's healing, and then there's, in the end, overall, it's freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, that's what I've heard. I love it. But, I think that what it is it's not acting like it's amazing all the time in a negligent kind of way, in more of a grateful acceptance kind of way. And we have each other. That's the biggest thing. I'm so grateful that I have all of y'all, all of you.
Same. Like, there's so many people I want to call out, but some people don't like being called out and pointed out. But seriously, the people who watch, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time, I don't know why people watch, but I'm happy they do. So, although, can you all
see you all for talk, heathen?
Yeah, I won't be in the chat, but I will be listening. Jenna, I have some serious studying to do. So I've done debates before, but they were just essentially back and forth dialogue. Now I'm doing like my first debate. I'm using that term loosely because this isn't like a, higher end, like Matt Dillahunty type debate. This is, bottom of the barrel, 2-minute intro. But I'm a little nervous. It's the topic, does God exist? I have so much studying to do, and so much preparing. I've got to work on the rebuttals for the Kalam cosmological argument and the ontological argument. And then the most difficult one, which I don't think I have enough time to get prepared for. I know he'll be presenting the case for Christ. So, I'll be debating. It's Dean Meadows, by the way.
Oh, he's a great guy to do it with, especially if it's like your first time to really try to debate, because
he'll be gentle.
It'll be more of a discussion.
Yes.
And that's good because he's patient and he doesn't hate atheists to start. So that's a huge plus.
He's a very
he's a good guy.
Loving dude. He's wrong, but that's okay.
We don't hate the guy, just the idea.
No. That's, another topic I'd like to cover with you at some point, Jenna, is do you need to respect ideas? Because continually I see people like, well, you need to respect my opinion. And I'm like, well, I don't. I need to respect you. I don't necessarily need to respect your opinion, specifically if it's harming to other people. But anyways, make sure you like and subscribe. If you like what we do, there's a Patreon link in the description, patreon.com/the Ethan and Jenna Show, or buymeacup.com/Ethan and Jenna. We're here every Sunday. We haven't figured out our topic for next week. So if there's something you would like Jenna and I to talk about, put it in the comments section. Also, if you could, make sure you subscribe to our individual channels, youtube.com/Jenna Belk, which is in the description, youtube.com/YFNAtheist. Jenna, what else you got?
Make sure you take care of yourself first. That's the biggest thing that I have to keep reminding myself, is you cannot give from an empty cup. So if you're running on empty and you're still trying to take care of everybody else, realize that you're going to burn out, and then everybody else still doesn't get taken care of.
Right.
So you have to take at least, maybe if not a whole day, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. Take care of yourself. But that's all I've got.
Awesome. One of these days I'm going to figure out, because I don't know if you know, like people watching me, I'm like all over the place constantly doing this thing. I need to figure out like a stationary spot where I'm like, okay, this is comfortable. I'm going to stop moving, but I'm just like, I'm watching myself and I feel like such a child.
Well, we're learning, it's actually going to be interesting when we watch later episodes of this show, and we're going to look back, and because I'm getting rid of my green screen soon. So we're going to notice the quality of it go up, and we're going to notice like both of us are going to find a place to stand. Because I've been doing the same thing, like going back and forth. But thank you all for hanging in there, and thank you all for so much for being supportive and for supporting this kind of a show, because this isn't a popular topic.
No,
so
it's not.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan, because Ethan does everything. I just show up.
Yes, but Jenna, you've got the brain, so we balance each other out. I'll do the back end stuff. You bring the big brain, and that's why we're the perfect mixture.
We'll talk about that later.
We need to talk about what we're doing this week. So real quick, Tuesday, I host the Perspective. Now, the new bi-weekly co-host is Brainbug. He'll be there every single other week for the time being. This coming week, though, is going to be Kyle Freedom, which is at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Then Wednesday, I will be interviewing Objectively Dan from Truth Wanted. And then Thursday is not only my debate with Dean Meadows, but I also have another show. We are interviewing a police officer on the topic defunding the police. So that one is going to be at on my third channel, Table for Two, Thursday night at 9 p.m. How about you, Jenna?
I have got carrot noises that I've started streaming live on Twitch, and I'm going to start saving them to YouTube and providing them for patrons because after 14 days on Twitch, they expire and go away. But carrot noises is a live stream where I'm painting kind of Bob Ross style, abstract, watercolor, acrylic paint, and just painting colors and learning how to paint my emotions. So it's kind of a personal mental health thing where it's a weekly check-in. I come and you can come and chat with me. I have my headphones in and I just chat and paint the whole time for 2 hours. So that'll be streamed live on Twitch at 3:30 p.m. Central on Friday for 2 hours. And we'll be doing this every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central. And I'm coming up with another show, but I haven't gotten it completely ironed out yet. So I'm still holding on to that. I'll probably introduce that next week. That's my goal. So
awesome. And once again, to those watching, if there is a topic you want us to cover, please let us know in the comments. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Me too.
Everyone?
Go check out Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. I support the ACA. They've done so much for me. They've given me equipment for the pandemic and all that. So they're great people, great motive.
Yeah, Talk Heathen starts in 18 minutes. So this is a perfect time for like a pee or food break, and then get right back in front and let's watch Eric Murphy and V. LaBianca take those calls. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Jenna.
Thanks, Ethan.